Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back. Thank you so much for finding time to connect with me today. I am answering one of your most common requests on why people in Ukraine have not left earlier, and some people are still reluctant to leave. First of all, nobody truly believed that this will happen. And happened to such extent of a full-blown war, invasion, genocide, however we call it. We were one country. Once every person in Russia have either a friend or a relative in Ukraine. Our connections, we are so intertwined, we are so connected in so many ways that it was just impossible to imagine. Even though here on the West we had so many alerts, and a lot of us who have family in Ukraine and friends, we were reaching out to them and asking them if they sure that they are okay, and they were like, oh please, there's gonna be no war, oh please, because we do have so many scandals often. We have so many fake things, fake news, and people trying to elevate things out of proportion, blow things up out of proportion. So people did not believe it to the last moment. And that's very unfortunate because a lot of people would have been evacuated. A lot of people would have left, and I've been listening to many of them, many of people that I know, and some of them had that uneasy feeling, had the intuition that they should leave, and very few left, very few. So that is devastating, but basically the short answer is that they did not believe in it. And the second part of this answer is that they didn't think that anything could happen to this extent whatsoever. Maybe some kind of conflict, maybe something maybe minor, but not the same that happened in 1941, because the war started without warning, and that is devastating. Answering the second question is a little bit more complicated, because why is that so many people, some of you have their loved ones there as well, some of you have friends and acquaintances, and maybe your fiance or your wife have been visiting and stuck there. One of the reasons why Ukrainian people are so reluctant to leave their home, especially people the older generation, I would say like 55, 65 plus, is because their homes, their belongings, it's really all they have. They have been working tirelessly their entire life to build this life. A lot of them survived the USSR, the crash of USSR, the complete crash of the economy. And they lost already once everything they had, but they were a lot younger. And right now, this is happening again, and they're not as young anymore. They don't have as much energy, and they just feel that living all of this, they can never recover. A lot of them don't speak English. A lot of them don't have this international skills, even like driving a vehicle, like speaking English or knowing how to start a business. A lot of these a lot of them were successful more or less in their own ways, or they had a very slow and steady progress, and they regained everything after losing everything in 1991. So when they were a lot younger, and so now going through this again, I think just the thought of it is very scary. They feel like they have to stay and protect their neighborhoods. Even more important, a lot of them have elderly parents, They have people that depend on them, and they feel it's a betrayal to leave. And that would go actually for a younger generation as well, like I would say 25 to 35, when they may have young children, and they are worried about their children, but they also feel that it's their responsibility to take care of their parents and grandparents, that it would be very selfish of them to just pack up and leave, and leave their family, leave their mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, and especially grandmothers by themselves. So they have this responsibility, that uneasy feeling of, how do we leave our homes, all our belongings, everything that we worked so hard for, and of course our family members, like our extended family, our elderly, and so on and so forth. They feel extreme guilt, and I understand that, although it's really hard to put yourself in that situation. I would always say that you must save the children, you must protect your children, you must try to do, everything you can possibly do to save your children from the stress and shock and pain of possible, bombs and shots fired, and being in a basement and all of that. It's horrific to be with your child and not being able to help your child. God forbid, God forbid, seeing your child depleted and slowly losing life, like what's been happening in Mariupol. A lot of lives are lost in those basements. I really think there is nothing worse than that, but I do truly believe that our first responsibility is our children. But it's easy to say, what do you do when you have your older parents or your elderly grandparents? I mean, it's tough. So to answer your question, my dear friends, I was really shocked myself, reaching out to people. I have so many people I went to school with, worked, just, a network of people, and a large percentage of them decided to stay. They also don't want people to rob their houses. You know what happens when people get guns and they get into towns, they feel like robbing and just have mass destruction everywhere. But all of us are different, and we base our decisions, I guess, on what we think is best at the moment. So there is no judgment. Personally, I still think it's extremely important to save your children, because if we owe to anybody in our lives, it's our children. If you give birth to them, if they're under 18 years old, they are your responsibility. Even if you didn't physically create them, if you adopted, same. If you sign for child under 18 years old, you are responsible. Now, the elderly people, of course, they cannot help themselves. So I would hope that they would have some kind of opportunity to take their moms, dads, or grandparents with them, because it's impossible pain to leave somebody who by themselves, who cannot take care of themselves, somebody who is dear to you, like your grandmother, grandfather. So it's a tough choice. And again, if people would be warned, you know, if that would be at least a fair game, if people would be warned, if the war would be announced and not called a special operation, you know, I think a lot of people would be evacuating their elderly as well. And I understand that that makes sense when it comes to people, you know, it's, I think, the most important. But what I've learned, once again, talking to my friends and acquaintances and, you know, community in general, a lot of people do not want to leave things that they worked so hard for. They don't have that you know, confidence and energy, that feelings that they can build this again. They feel that they will be nobody, nowhere. They don't have the survival skills. They're afraid of, you know, not being able to speak English, not being able, or any other language in Europe, you know, being a refugee. I think a lot of Ukrainian people are really they really care about their social status. You know, they may make a lot less money than somebody in Europe, but when they doing their work, that they feel confident, they feel that they're at their own place, they feel satisfied with their life. They don't know how other people live, so for them go from, you know, let's say, you know, being, you know, working at the office, have a career in business, journalism, and then anything else, and then going and wash floors somewhere. That's just shocking. That's just too painful and hard to adjust, and especially hard for those people who are a bit older, who are, you know, pretty much already created the amount of financial stability that they were going for all their life. They don't feel the energy or capacity to build that again, so they don't want to be beggars on the street otherwise, you know. So they have that complex of holding on to what they you know, what they earned, what they worked for. And you know, it's a little bit, this mentality goes maybe a generation or two over me, so I understand. I don't follow this personally. I think there is nothing more important than life, and I believe that anything, if you've done something once, you can do it again. But then again, they're in their situation and I'm in mine, so we have to remember this. But I have very good understanding of these people because, you know, I grew up there, so I know their mentality. I know why they think this way. But it's literally this: they're holding on for dear life, for their apartments, their cottage houses, their cars, their belongings, even in their house. You know, they really carefully took care of everything through the years and decades, after so many inflations, not just 1991 when things had changed drastically, from one power to another, from one system to another. But they really been through so much. They've been through so many changes, so many inflations and currency changes and political changes. So I think they kind of exhausted on that. I think they're kind of done with this, and they also feel that this is their country, this is their place, and they don't owe anything to nobody. They feel that it's absolutely unfair, and they also stay, a lot of them, to defend their homes, their neighborhoods, you know, their apartment buildings. They feel like they're not gonna give up, and they're not gonna let the enemy ruin it, which, you know, has a right to exist. That opinion has a right to exist. So, my dear friends, I just want to share with you some of the, you know, Slavic mentality. I do think that there is a bit of lack of the courage to start new, fear for unknown, fear of not being able to make it, fear of not being able to adjust. Just to be very fair, very honest with you. They are more comfortable with dealing with challenges at where they are at than going to some completely new environment, new place, new mentality, new language. So it's not for everyone. Even though supposedly if you go on a refugee program, you're supposed to come back after things are over, which of course we are hoping gonna be over soon. So I do hope that I answered your questions, or at least gave you a little bit more light on, Slavic mentality, why people would not be more motivated to leave. But it's a combination of loving their place, not wanting to leave people and things they love, not wanting to betray their motherhood, wanting to defend it, and of course some fear of unknown and feeling unprepared for it. So please write your thoughts and comments, and of course I am beyond grateful for those of you who have been supporting the cause. One of my next videos are going to be dedicated to those of you, my own personal heroes, that have been generously, kindly contributing to the campaign that I created specifically to support people in Ukraine, to help them with necessary things if they are staying, and to help them to get on the road if they're leaving. Thank you. I see every single message, I see every single donation, and it does make a world of difference. I will dedicate a special video to thank all of you. I think that it should be recognized. So if you would like to donate, please leave your name and maybe a short message if you feel comfortable with that. It really warms our hearts and reinstates our faith in humanity. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your love and care, even for those people you don't know, but you feel like you want to help and support. Thank you.